Traffic jam avoidance apps like Waze and Google Maps have become indispensable to today's drivers, diverting them from perpetual gridlock situations into less clogged back road routes. But did you ever wonder what happens when all those cars are diverted? It creates a lot of traffic in neighborhoods that are not built for it. And one small New Jersey town, quarter mile from the GW Bridge, the George Washington Bridge, is trying to fight back. It's a symbolically famous high-traffic zone. You'll remember the infamous Chris Christie bridge scandal, Bridgegate, that tied up traffic for a while. Well, this week, Leonia, New Jersey, moved to erase itself from the software and rezone 60 residential streets as off-limits to drivers who use them as shortcuts, threatening to fine out-of-towners $200. Is it working? Is it legal? Joining me now, the mayor of Leonia, Judah Ziegler. Mayor, whose roads are they?
Well, good morning, Michael. Thanks for the opportunity to be with you. The answer is they are roads under the jurisdiction of the Borough of Leonia, and therefore we have the right to legislate in the interests of public safety on behalf of our citizens, and that's what we've done.
I would think that somewhere along the way, more tax dollars from people who don't necessarily live right in Leonia or do business in Leonia have ended up in those roads, which is why I ask the question.
Not for the roads for which we've legislated, actually. The roads that we've legislated, which are all but three roads, three of our main thoroughfares, and only during peak drive periods, are when we repair roads, they are largely paid for with local bond ordinances, local taxation, property taxation. We don't get state grants for these roads, so no, the answer is people outside of Leonia have not, in large measure, paid any sum of money for the maintenance or replacement of these roads.
Online, I note that one of the criticisms goes something like this: if you move into a community that's adjacent to literally the world's busiest bridge, then you're going to get traffic, and you should expect that.
And I completely agree. We are not looking to reduce the amount of traffic that enters Leonia. As a municipality that's at the confluence of three major interstates, and as you said, a quarter mile from the world's busiest bridge, we're going to get a lot of traffic. We're not trying to reduce it. What we're trying to do is redirect it and make sure it stays on our main thoroughfares, rather than going into our narrow side streets where it poses a public safety hazard.
In the introduction to this conversation, Mayor, I showed what you now get at Waze and Google Maps. In fact, if we can put that back up on the screen, this is what you were after, right? It's not so much that you want your local police to have to stand out there. You want what I'm now showing on the screen to pop up when people are looking at an alternative when they get off or are going on the GW Bridge. So that tells me it's being successful.
That is 100% correct, Michael. We're not looking to ruin a bunch of people's days by issuing tickets. In fact, although we began enforcement on Monday, we have yet to issue a ticket. At this point, all we're doing is issuing verbal warnings. I have an 18-officer police department whose primary responsibility is public safety. Their primary responsibility is not pulling people over and giving them a $200 ticket. This was to address the tech and to get the tech to not recommend our narrow side streets as alternatives when there's a backup at the bridge. On Tuesday morning, there was a 90-minute backup at the George Washington Bridge. Our side streets were clear, so it's absolutely working.
Right, but if the neighboring communities to Leonia now take a page out of your book, folks are going to have nowhere to go.
But again, we're not closing Leonia. If people who are commuting to New York City decide they don't want to stay on the highways on which they're traveling to get to New York City, they can still come through Leonia and take a shorter route to the bridge. However, they just have to stay on the main thoroughfares in Leonia to get there. That's all we're saying.
And Mayor, final question. Are you confident that it's legal? I don't think it's been sufficiently litigated. I looked at that Supreme Court case that talks about parking. It seems to me some court is going to have to weigh in on this.
Well, listen, I'm hoping that we don't have to litigate it. Obviously, I'd rather not expend tax dollars on things like that, but certainly I will protect the public safety of my citizens. The Supreme Court case is fairly determinate, but not completely. There are various other state court cases like St. Louis County versus Hahn and others that are even more on point and point to the fact that municipal jurisdictions have broad authority to legislate streets under their jurisdiction if it's serving a public purpose. And in this case, that public purpose is public safety. So I do believe that we're on fairly firm legal ground and our legislation would withstand a court challenge.
Mayor Judah Ziegler from Leonia, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.